Welcome back, YouTubers, to another TNA Impact Wrestling review, or should it be Impact Wedding review, with us, the British Fist. Sorry, did I dampen your spirits there, NJ? Mr. Parkin here. I know this will improve your spirits, NJ. Go on. No, you want to.
What's up?
Subscribe down below, like down below, and comment your thoughts on this show, and more specifically, the wedding, down below.
And make sure you contact us in the link in the description box below.
Because I'm glad they crashed the wedding. As if you... That's busted. Glad I crashed the wedding.
Even worse. You're making this worse, Dan. Let's just get on with the review.
Well, there had to be a wedding theme in there somewhere, NJ. Speaking of What's Up, by the way, you can be part of our What's Up compilation that we're doing for NJ's birthday, which is going to happen on the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view night. We want you to send in your clips of you doing NJ's trademark.
What's up?
And send it to our email, which is dannyparkin02@googlemail.com, or contact us via Skype, Facebook, or anything in the links in the description box below. Just keep it short and to the point, and we'll add it to the introduction that we're going to be doing.
Because everything in the YWC, especially with the British Fist, is all about interacting. So if we can interact with you guys, even if you don't make YouTube videos, please send us in a short clip of you doing the... What's up?
The thing that made this channel as big as it was, NJ. It's funny how one word can do so much. So TNA Impact Wrestling this week was all about one thing. You know, the only thing that really mattered on this episode of Impact was the wedding, really, wasn't it? I was glad it was the only really thing that mattered tonight. They hyped through it throughout the whole night. We're going to talk about that later in the main event.
We'll get to another point which mattered even more than the wedding.
Fair enough, we will. Don't spoil it, NJ. We opened the show with Jeff Hardy, fresh from his title defense at Genesis, at that filler pay-per-view. You know, fortunately, he wasn't on the mic very long until Daniels and Kaz came out and took up a majority of the mic work, as they do, because they're much better on the mic than Jeff Hardy.
And this is where the intro or the opening got better. Jeff Hardy, yes, he was talking about him retaining and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's all happiness to see it. No, we're not.
The creatures!
And out comes the great duo of themselves. The
bad influence.
Yes, and they really showed Jeff Hardy who's better on mic.
Pretty much hyping up the future title match between these two, which is going to happen next week. Daniels and Jeff Hardy. Bad influence attack Jeff Hardy, and Storm clears the ring. The crowd were actually really hot for this segment, and that led us right onto the tag match. You know, they were getting all the TNA whatever championship done in the opening bloody 20 to 30 minutes of the show.
Got to the point, got to this match, and yes.
Yeah, so we had Daz and Canyons. That's it. The wrong way around. Daz and Canyons versus Horn and Stardy.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah, that sounds like a really bad comedy duo going up against each other in a tag match. So yeah, pretty decent match which you'd expect between the two. 12.5 minutes. Hardy gets the pin on Kazarian. Yeah.
Okay, this was a good performance because you do expect from these four. But here's what I would have done. Just tweak it a little bit. I would have probably had, if the faces were going to win, I would have probably had Storm pinning Kazarian because he's the one who takes all the pimples, all the attacks, because Kazarian is nothing without Daniels. But instead of giving Jeff Hardy, who won at the pay-per-view, I would have given the loser, James Storm, the win, yeah.
I would agree. I think you need to have Hardy look strong and everything. I don't know, I'm just going to say that. And then you have Daniels attacking him afterwards with the Angel Wings on the belt on Hardy to get some heat on himself. And to me, Tenay and Taz pretty much summed up next week's match when they said, "Can Daniels do the unthinkable and beat Jeff Hardy?" Pretty much summed that one up. Interesting fact as well, Jeff Hardy won't be at the UK shows due to his felony. So I wonder how TNA are going to book around this, seeing as they are going to take 4 shows for the Impact going into lockdown. That's not going to help the build.
Lucky you are UK fans. Lucky you.
Yeah, you're not going to get Jeff Hardy. For all you screaming 13-year-old girls out there, yeah, then we're going to mention that later. We have the Gut Chef also, Jay Bradley or Brian Cage. To be honest, I think either of these guys could have got a yes, really, in my opinion. They're both pretty decent talents, and Jay Bradley, yeah, it's fine. That's really all we need to say about that segment, isn't it? Christian York versus Kenny King in why pay for this when you can watch it on free TV rematch. Kenny King gets the win with the tights.
The thing about this is that, yes, it's another X Division styled match. It was a revenge match, okay. At least Kenny King did not win by holding the ropes, and that he got a clean win over York. So overall, go King.
You mean that win with the tights that he got? In a heel fashion. This match got about 3 minutes. It looks like they're going to hype up to Kenny King versus RVD, or maybe even a freeway. We'll see what they do in the future. How many times did TNA need to plug the Bellator show that was happening after Spike TV?
What show?
the Bellator show. They kept mentioning it on commentary this week. Was you not watching the show or listening to the commentary, NJ?
I was, but oh my gosh. Yes, well done. Pass them. They get better ratings there. So they're the better show. Go and watch them. Forget our show. Yeah, so...
We had Gail Kim versus Velvet Sky in another sort of why pay for this when you can watch it on free TV match. Basically, another number one contention match. It was funny, actually. You had Gail Kim calling out the bad call using her iPad, kind of like when I use my Google Nexus 7 to point out my botches on the YouTube videos, MJ. Similar that, isn't it? And Velvet Sky gets the win here, as we kind of predicted. It's interesting that they were bringing in technology into wrestling. You're gonna have, you know, bad decisions called out by the competitors.
Pretty much, but the thing is, Mickie James, maybe just me, but her involvement at the pay-per-view, it looked like she may have been counted for a possible triple threat instead of a number one contender, but I guess with this big build-up to the next pay-per-view, they've got to do something to keep matches going, feuds going until then.
I tell you what, at least we have a number one contender going into lockdown, even if it is Velvet Sky. Okay, so we've gone through all this stuff that didn't really matter. Let's face it, guys. All that really mattered was the wedding. You know, they had the wedding-themed arena. They had loads of segments throughout the night, which you're going to go through. We had that Sting and Hogan promo segment in the hour main event with Sting trying to convince Hogan to walk his daughter down the aisle. And we had the whole, is Hogan going to walk his daughter down the aisle? He said he was going to do the right thing.
Scrap all Hogan stuff. The biggest thing about this was the opening thing when you got the great duo who deserves to be in the ring. The duo that if you compete them with Daniels and Kaz, I think this team would win just because they're great on mic. But before we get to who they are, they turned on each other at the pay-per-view, and on the next show, they're best friends.
So you had Rude and Aries come out to crash the wedding, and they think there should be a celebration for them two, and they feel they should be respected way more. And TNA is going back in the times. They've got RVD as the champion, the Golden Boy as the champion. They have irrelevant tag champions. Oh, and speaking of irrelevant tag champions, Chavo Hernandez came out and brawled with them, and yeah. So maybe they're going to be feuding for the tag titles now. But Bobby Roode and Nelson Aries are just a bull to watch on the TV screen.
Again, I think that comes with all heels. They're always good on the mic over the bases. Like we've got Kaz and Daniels diss tag team. Yeah. So I think it's a regular thing. But the one thing I said about this, as much as they are probably going to fight for their tag team championships, give us better tag team champions, because I didn't see Chavo and Hernandez beating these two. The thing is, you're taking two main eventers away from the main event scene, and who are we really left with in the main event scene?
I do wonder if they're going to go after the tag titles, or if this was a filler thing, maybe to tease it. I don't really know. Interesting best man. We had Taz, I think was the best man. Spike Dudley and Tommy Dreamer were all there. Tommy Dreamer was recently on WWE TV. You can tell they dropped that WWE and TNA lawsuit now, can't you?
That is good, because all that is stupidness, and I'm glad they don't really mention like the whole, TNA mentioned WWE, all that stuff, apart from
ECW, yeah.
And all that. But the thing I liked about this was you get a bit of history. We can see that Spike Dudley's now an alcoholic or drinker.
Yeah.
You've got Tommy Dreamer, who likes to move from all wrestling businesses.
ECW.
Next he'll be in RH.
ECW.
And yeah, it was a nicely performed wedding.
The knockouts with the bridesmaids. You had Bully Ray wanting Sting to try and convince Hogan. It was all going on in the Impact Zone. You had a bachelor party at the Ritz with loads of hot girls, much better than looking at Brooke Hogan. You had the Brooke Hogan and Dixie Carter segment. They had all sorts going on throughout the show. And then we get to the wedding. So the first thing we learn about this wedding is Hogan did in fact do the right thing and did take his daughter down the aisle. And then we get to the wedding segment itself, which is pretty typical weddings. I mean, even an actual wedding, I must admit, I do get pretty bored. So watching it on the TV in a wrestling show also would be pretty boring for me as well.
And when it came to Brooke Hogan, Bully Ray's speech, I got very teary. They said great, beautiful stuff.
I think we're going to have to get some water to use for them tears, NJ. So then we get to the most important part of this show. We had Taz getting on the mic saying, "Are you sure you want to do this, Bully? Are you sure you want to do this?" And is it getting hot in here, is it me? And I was thinking, oh my god, is he going to do a strip tease or something?
Sure, this Taz attire, the straps and everything.
Yeah, and then we see Taz is wearing an Aces and Eights shirt. And the Aces and Eights storm the ring and basically crash the wedding. And I think this was the most interesting ending that TNA could have came up with to this show in this wedding angle.
Because the best thing is, It was before they actually said that they're married together, because it was when the priest was actually getting to that point, and then the Ace and Eights come down. So yes, they did get married. Yes, the Ace and Eights did a big brawl, coming out on top, taking out everyone, take away Brooke. So this way ended in a more positive way, as you gave that wedding that kick it needed.
Yeah, because we all know the weddings in wrestling rings don't go the full distance. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it was a nice way. I mean, I am intrigued to see where this is going to go now. So I think this angle did its job. As much as the wedding itself was kind of like meh, and wedding angles don't really go for fans like us, the ending was at least interesting and left me wondering what was going to happen on the future, and especially with 2 months till lockdown now, they've got to do something on TV to keep stuff going.
I do expect what feuds can go with Buddy Ray out of this, but the one thing I do notice is that Taz used to be a commentator, now he's part of the Ace and Eights. What does this mean for Taz?
What does this mean for Taz? Is he going to continue on commentary? Is he going to be a henchman with a broken neck? Or, it's also how they never mentioned or alluded to Aces and Eights throughout this whole show, which kind of like made that surprise just that little bit better, in my opinion.
It was pretty good. I like how they did this. It actually made TNA finish on a strong note. So I think they've done their job with the Ace and Eights, the Jeff Hardy, teasing that, the new tag team being formed in Aries and...
Team Wet Dream Team or something. Are you talking about Chavo Hernandez?
Between Aries and Rude.
That's what I said! The Wet Dream Team!
So when the Ace and Eights are not wrestling, what they do is actually quite good. Decent enough to impress other people around you. They take out worthless mortals. They make unforgettable moments. And they do what they should be doing all along, which is taking out worthless mortals. But Ace and H, you are still absolutely worthless. Keep doing it with these attacks. Keep trying to impress us. And maybe the best will be yet to come.
So what were your overall thoughts on this Impact Wedding edition this week, NJ?
They really pumped up this main event, this wedding thing, which I thought got a bit annoying the amount of times they did it. Most of the backstage segments involved Bully and Brooke, blah, blah, blah. The matches, I guess they're teasing something, making something for the future next week or building up to a later show. So for that reason, I give it credit. And overall, I weren't too entertained, but the matches and stuff did tease something.
They did a lot of build to this main event and this wedding angle between Bully Ray and Brooke Hogan, and they did it quite well in the sense of the way they built up, and the ending was actually interesting. So a majority of the TV time that was directed at that actually led to a very interesting ending, in my opinion, even though the Aces and Eights are jobbers, and that storyline needs to end very, very quickly. Lockdown, hopefully, in my opinion. The rest of the show was kind of like meh, in my opinion. Like there was some, matches and. It's kind of like it was a little bit forgettable, but they're on the way to lockdown now, and I guess their main priority will be like next week's show, and then getting stuff built because they've got 2 months to lockdown now. So they did all right starting some stuff up after Genesis, which I think was a filler pay-per-view to lockdown. In all honesty, it was you just really got to look at it in the sense that they spent most of the show devoting to this main angle at the end, which was good, but there was other stuff in there that was kind of just there. Even though it was used to advance along feuds, I would say. So,
all I'm saying is that most of tonight, apart from the main event, even the Ace and Eights attack, though, it's adding up to something. Feuds being made, questions are being given, so I think it's quite good for that purpose.
And yet, no answers. So give your thoughts on this show down in that comment section below. The show that shall now be known as TNA Impact Wedding. That's all I will say about that. NJ, can we get an appropriate wedding-style outro from you now, with not involving someone saying I do or I don't?
You're seriously taking the piss with this wedding stuff. But anyway, YouTubers, thank you very much for watching. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm going to a wedding myself, or should I say, a breakup. Until next time, YouTubers, thank you very much, and goodbye.
I hope that breakup's not with me.